Welcome to Next to Madison, a podcast to help you live your best life.
Hey, welcome back to another fun episode of Next to Madison. I am your hostess with the mostest, Madison Malloy. Yes, I am here. I'm excited about this episode. We are talking about setting goals and achieving goals. And I'm bringing on a special guest today. He's somebody that I work with on the coaching side who is amazing. And he just has a little bit of a different kind of take and advice on setting goals and achieving them. And he is going to drop this advice. It is unbelievable. Like, I think most people will write their goals down and then they just stare at it. That's like sitting on their computer or sitting on their mirror, but they don't really do much with it, or they try to, and then they realize that, wait, why didn't I achieve that goal? Why did this feel so hard for me? And he's got some great steps. So when you actually write down the goal, the step that you do next is the game changer. You do not want to miss this episode. If you have goals and things you want to achieve in your life, this episode is for you. Please take notes, listen to it, share it, like do all that stuff, because everybody deserves to live the life of their dreams. So we'll be right back after this brief message with our guest on Next to Madison. I thank you, each and every one of you, for tuning in again. We couldn't continue delivering powerful, life-changing information if it wasn't for you. So thank you. We will see you in a second with our guest on this episode of Next to Madison.
It's your host, Madison Malloy, and I have exciting news. My new product is now available on Amazon called Color Your Way to Abundance, a 21-day manifestation guide for wealth, health, and love. This unique coloring journal will help you manifest by coloring in the affirmations while you continue to repeat them. This will help activate these affirmations so they become a reality. Grab your copy today and relax, color, and start manifesting.
Okay, we are back. I'm excited for my guest today. We work together. We are both coaches for Bob Proctor and Proctor Gallagher. So I'm so excited to have him on my podcast, Next to Madison, with us today. I'd like to introduce mindset coach and outdoor enthusiast. We're going to call him Cameron Watt. How are you, buddy?
Hey, what's going on, Madison? I appreciate the invite. Appreciate being on here. I've seen so many different episodes and cool guests that you had interviewed, and I was just kind of thinking, oh, I wonder what it would take to jump on that and talk with Madison and give value to your audience. So here we are.
Yeah, no, I'm so excited to have you, because we've talked a lot, when we also do coaching for Proctor Gallagher along with ourselves, and we've talked a lot about goals and how important it is when we're dealing with our own clients and setting goals. And then we're talking to, people that are fans of Bob Proctor about goals. And I'm like, we got to bring you on. We got to do a whole episode of Next to Madison on goals, because everybody has goals. So let's just start out with what would you advise as a mindset success coach if your client said, I want to set my goals, how do I achieve them?
Yeah, so where to start? I mean, that's a great question. And there's so many people that, they don't even know where to start or what is the right goal. And one of the greatest exercises, when I talk to clients of mine, when they say, I just don't know where to start, I don't know what goal I want, I say, well, why don't you just, on a piece of paper, why don't you write out the life that you want to live, in the next 12 months? And I say 12 months, Madison, just because I want to create urgency, right? Like if most people think about a goal 5 years from now, 10 years from now, they're not going to create that urgency. They're just going to say, well, I've got some time. I'm not going to get into action and really go for it. So I always like this 12-month, think about the life that you want to live. Who would you be? Where would you go? Who would you be associating with? Like, what kind of relationships would you have? What kind of impact would you be providing? And you start to build this image, and they write it out in present tense, like, okay, this is exactly how I want to live my life. And then, on another piece of paper, you write out like, okay, who do I need to become? And so now what you're doing is you're giving yourself these directions of like, okay, this is who I need to start thinking like. This is who I need to start acting like and becoming like. Even though it's not here yet in my physical presence, I've got to become this person first, because then I'm going to start to attract the opportunities into my life. Then I'm going to start to attract bigger ideas of, oh, how can I get the house that I want? Or who can I meet to start my business, whatever it is. But you've got to become that person first. And then you start to get into frequency with the
Yeah.
things that you want in your life. So you build this image of what you want because now when that gives you direction, and then you can start to think, okay, this is what I truly want. I'm going to make that my goal, whether it's a new house, whether it's starting your own business, whether you want to travel more, but you
Yeah.
start by building this image of whatever it is that you want. So I think that's a good starting point for, most
That,
people that kind of get stuck.
and that is so well said because you really don't hear a lot of people say that. Like most people
Mm,
would say, if I was talking to most people, I would say, okay, how would you set your goals? Well, you'd write your goal on a piece of paper and then you'd figure out like what are the next steps to get it done. But this is such a
right.
better way to do it. It's like, what's the dream life you want to live in 12 months? And then becoming that
Yeah.
person. And I think that's where most people, I would say 98% or more of people struggle, is that they cannot become the person without seeing in the 3D proof that they should be that person. And that's what separates the top earners from the rest of us, right?
Yeah. Oh, 100%. They see themselves already achieving and doing the things that they want. Like they're very clear. I was listening to, another one of my mentors. I'm in another sales training and, he's a multi seven-figure earner, but he talks about clarity, right? He really talks about, get crystal clear on what it is that you really want. Get crystal clear on
Yeah.
the service that you're providing, clarity. And so, because before, I can only speak, from my experience, because before, what I considered a goal was, okay, maybe I make it to the weekend, to Friday after work, and then I can kind of unwind and party. I wasn't really clear on what that looked like. I was just like, oh, I can't wait. So I was just being controlled by the outside world. And then when I started to build these ideas of like, okay, maybe I can earn a little bit more money. Well, what is that? A dollar's more money. Do I want an extra $1? No, I wanted,
Right.
an extra $20,000, whatever it is. So start to develop that clarity. And like you said, the high achievers,
Yeah.
they're crystal clear and focused on, the things that they want. They don't just generalize, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. No, it is so true because yeah, you can't just say like, oh, I want to make more money or, one day I'll have that house because it's the
Yeah.
frequency and the energy that you're resonating with is always having it in the future. So you're never
Yeah.
going to have it. But so what are some steps then to help people to live in the end when they don't yet see it in their 3D reality? Because you're not going to see it in your 3D if you can't get there in the 5D.
Yeah. So I guess, the good steps is that exercise that I shared with the goal. And then the second part of that is, okay, well, I need to start becoming this person. So again, you're getting clarity of who do I need to become? Okay. So
Yeah.
let's say, for instance, the goal is I want to earn, 500,000 in a year. Okay. I'm just making this up. But now it's like, okay, who is this person? How do I dress? How
Hmm.
quickly do I make decisions? What are my relationships like? What's
Yeah.
my relationship with myself like? What's my confidence like? How much of a leader I am? So you start to think about all these different characteristics because now you're like, okay, well, this person's earning 500,000. Well, who is this person? Okay, they're a leader, they're confident, they dress this way, and you're using your imagination. You're building this image specific for you, and you see yourself, circulating the money. You see yourself using the money for what you want in your life, whether
Yeah.
it's more comfort, a better lifestyle, whether it's for more service, providing more good. And so now you're building this idea and you're like, oh, that's what I do with the money. So I'm very confident. I'm giving. I'm grateful. I have a wonderful attitude. Money, I have a great relationship with money. And then so you build this idea, this image of who you are. And then every day you just act like that person. You
Yeah.
just pretend that you are that person every day. And it's not really like, you hear the term fake it till you make it.
Yep.
Well, it's like, it doesn't sound real to me when you fake it until you make it. You want to start acting as if, because that's more emotionally attached to, okay, this is who I need to act like. This is who I need to
Yeah.
become. And if you watch some of your favorite movies or TV shows, you can see the great actors. They're like
Yeah.
they're getting into character. and you believe that they are that character because they're acting as if they're getting into that role. Well, anybody can do
Yes.
that.
Yes.
Anybody can get into a role of the person that you want to become. So you just build an idea. Yeah, okay, well, this person is confident with money. He's a great leader. This person, whoever this person is, earning 500,000, and then you just become this person every day. And it's not going to happen overnight because every day when you wake up, we've got all kinds of distractions, especially within our own mind, where it's like, who do you think you are? You can't do this. But you keep making a decision that this is who I'm going to be every day. I'm just going to act
I
like this
love
person.
this.
And I'm telling you, what it does is it raises your level of vibration, right? And
Yes.
everything is on a
100%.
vibration,
Yeah.
everything. And so when you
I
raise
love
your
it.
level of vibration, you just attract everything you're in harmony with.
Yeah. So I think that's such a good thing though. Make sure when you guys are doing your goals, you write the goal at the top of the page and then right below it, right? Who do I need to become to achieve this goal? Get
Hmm.
crystal clear on that. Who is that person that has achieved that goal? And then it's the action steps. But you'll
Yeah.
get, don't you agree with me? Like you'll get inspired action from the universe. You'll start aligning with those things and opportunities that will start guiding
Yes.
you more. Because the thing is, like, if you write, let's use a generic example. I want to make $500,000 a year,
Yeah.
and people say, well, what am I going to do? How am I going to do that? Do I need to do this? Don't worry about that. Be that person, and then you'll start attracting the opportunity. So what you think could earn you 500,000 a year today might be completely different in a week
Oh,
because things will
I
come to you.
I love how that works. You're totally on point. I mean, you have no idea a week from now, 30 days from now, 60 days from now, who you can run into or what your attention and focus gets shifted on, where all of a sudden an idea comes, or you just meet a person who knows another person that can help you with a business or whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's amazing how everything happens. You don't have to worry about the how. I mean, the universe figures all that out. You've just got to do your part and get into the frequency with what you want, because then you start to attract that kind of opportunity.
Okay.
Though you
Yeah.
attract the ideas. And it's funny, we were talking about clarity. I just wanted to add this quick because I was just
Yeah.
thinking of a client I was talking with earlier today. He wants to scale his business. And, this topic I love. I love you brought this topic up because it applies to everybody, anybody, regardless of where you are. You apply this topic in your life because it's all it is. It's the same process. It's just growing levels of awareness. But he's got a $750,000 business and he wants to scale it. And he told me, he's like, I want to scale it 5 to 10 million. And I said, well, what is it? Is it 5 million or is it 10 million? Because those are both very
Mm,
different.
yes.
I said, what is it? But that was his general, like, this is what I want. Well, what is it? Give yourself that clarity, that crystal clear clarity. Do you want to scale it to 5 million? Because that's who you need to become. Or do you want to get to 10 million? And I got him to think like, oh, and of course, it took us into a different conversation.
No, it is true. Yeah, you're right, because 5 and 10 million is a very, very different number. So let's use a fun example because, everyone wants to make more money, everyone wants to have that financial freedom. But I want to take this in a little bit of a fun, unique direction, and maybe
Yeah.
selfishly for me. Um,
Yeah, of course. Why not?
let's
It's your
let's
show.
help the single people out there because I'm one of them, and
Yes.
I am never going to settle. My parents had the best marriage on the planet, so my bar is so freaking high, okay? And I'd rather die alone than not have what my parents have. So if I'm somebody who is done with the dating and I want to meet my husband,
Hmm.
I want you to coach me on how to make that goal happen of getting married.
Yeah.
Let's have fun with this.
Well, I would ask you like, well, why is it that you want to get married?
Well, because I want to share my life with somebody. I want to have my forever plus one to events. Like I think life is better together.
Hmm.
And I feel like that's, as a religious person, that's God intended that for us.
Yeah. And so what are the type of things that you would love to do with this person?
Um, Play golf, go bike riding, go vacationing, dinners, um,
Yeah.
parties, just yeah, like your party buddy, you know? Not
Yeah.
party, but like life, like fun person, you
Okay.
know?
And how would this person treat you? Emotionally, spiritually, personally, like everything. How would they treat you?
I would never be questioning how they felt. So I would be feeling like I felt safe. I feel that I can authentically be myself, whether it's good days or bad days. I feel better when I'm with them than without them. Like there's
Hmm.
no stress. Like a lot of relationships in the past for me, I felt like sometimes there was a lot of confusion and it wasn't crystal clear, and that would lead to
Right.
anxiety. And for me, once I realized and kind of raised my own frequency and level of vibration and was able to walk away from things quicker that no longer served me, I realized that a lot of the intuition and anxiety comes from them not being the right person.
Yeah,
And it's like, how do you
absolutely.
finally attract that right person? You know what I mean?
But it sounds like all of a sudden you're building this idea of who you want, and at least you know who you don't want, right? You just explained like, oh, I've tried this in the past and I don't want. So
Yeah.
with what you know of what you do want, I mean, what would that feel like to just be in that type of a relationship with somebody?
Well, you'd feel happy. You'd feel safe. You'd feel like yeah, it would just like all the drama is just gone, you
Yeah.
know? And I wanted to bring this topic up because I think it's because there's so many single people out there and there's so many people struggling and there's so much toxic advice on social media, especially
Hmm.
TikTok. Like you got to act this way, you got to do this, you got to do that. I always tell people, how about you just show up as you, authentically who you are? And if that person doesn't like it, then they're not for you. I think we
Yeah.
put so much pressure on ourselves, and society is like, oh, you got to have somebody, you got to do this. And it's like, you actually don't. Like, I'm perfectly happy. I love my life. I love the fact that I can go wherever I want, whenever I want. I have tons of friends. I don't have to like act, but it would be nice to like have somebody to share life with, you know?
Yeah. And you
So,
should. You absolutely
yeah.
should.
And I think it's like,
Yeah.
so let's talk to the other people that are listening out here that are single. Like if your goal is to meet the one, let's take me out of this. Like what would you say to them? Like what should they write on their list? Like I want to be a
Yeah.
wife or I want to be a husband. What should
100%.
happen from there?
So that just the exercise or the questions that I just took you through,
Yeah.
what you're doing is you're building this perfect relationship, this ideal relationship, and you're getting into that feeling, right? So these are the questions that I would suggest the single people who want to get into a relationship, they ask themselves. They start to ask themselves these type of questions, they think about it. And there's an exercise that I remember, Bob Proctor always did it. And once
Okay.
you get into this exercise, so what he did is on a piece of paper, he said, in the middle, right, draw a big circle. And then in the circle, you write my perfect ideal partner. And then from the circle, you radiate these little vertical lines or horizontal lines, like spokes on a wheel, and they just come out. And after you had answered those questions of like, well, who is this ideal type of person? What would I be doing? On those lines, you write out the type of person they are, those characteristics. They're fun, they're adventurous, they're outgoing, they're supportive, they're loving, they're grateful, whatever it is. And so now what you want to do is you've built out this ideal perfect partner. And so you want to start giving energy in towards that. You want to start focusing towards that and feeling worthy. You're not changing you, you're just expressing more of what you want. You're expressing your self-worth. And believe me, you're going to get exactly what you want. You don't want to settle. You want to express more of that perfection, that self-worth. But you're building this ideal picture of exactly the relationship that you want. And so by putting energy into it, one of the last questions I asked you was like, what would that feel like? So you get
Yeah.
into that feeling, right? Because you got to get into our subconscious mind is the emotional mind. You want to talk its language. That language is emotion, it's
Yeah.
feeling. you want to get into the feeling of, well, this is my ideal partner. This is what it would feel like. I would feel loved, protected, supported, no matter what. And I love what you said earlier, Madison, about, I don't want to have to change me and like do this and be this person like TikTok suggested. I want to offer my authentic, genuine self. And I was reading a book and it said, if you find the ideal, most perfect partner, of course you're going to grow, but you don't expect to change them because you love them for exactly what you wanted and you expected. And it's not like you're expecting them to change and vice versa. They're not, if they truly love you and is worthy of who you are, they don't want you to change unless you want to change, right? But they're going to love
Right.
you regardless. They're not forcing this change upon you. And, in my own personal relationship, I've caught myself many times thinking, well, if I'm changing, why isn't my wife changing? Why doesn't she do this? And then I had to catch myself and I said, I love her regardless, and
Yeah.
I'm going to help her regardless. And if she wants to change, she'll change. But I'm not going to force that upon her and because she
Right.
doesn't force it upon me.
Absolutely. So why do you think we have such an epidemic of toxic relationships and people struggling in dating today?
Is it? I didn't know it was an epidemic. I guess
I
because I've
think
been out of the
I think
single
it's
game
an
for
epidemic.
20 years.
You're like,
I,
wait a second, is this the new COVID? Yes,
Is
it
this
is.
happening? Is this happening? I
Really?
haven't dated in 20 years.
But so many people like have such a difficult time. They're like, dating's a disaster. I can't. Why is it so difficult to find something that we all are, which is love? Like, why do you think that is? And I'm gearing towards to get you to jump into the frequency that people are
Mhm.
operating on. Like, why do you think
Yeah,
people are struggling so hard to find the right match?
I think they're forcing it. I think maybe they're putting the wrong pressure on themselves where they're just trying to force like, oh my gosh, I gotta find the right partner or I was on a Q&A recently where somebody asked that and they said for 16 years I've been single and now I'm like in my mid 40s and I'm it's going to be too late to have children and I got to try
Oh,
and do this. That's a forceful energy and you're not in the right vibration to attract what you want. So
yeah.
you got to allow it to come into your life. You got to accept and allow it to come into your life. So number one, you got to raise your own self-worth,
Yeah.
right? You got to believe that you're worthy of everything that you want, the right partner, the right love. And it starts with love for yourself. So it stops with like, okay, I need to stop thinking I'm not worthy of the perfect partner out there. I need to stop putting this wrong type of pressure because I know that the right person, the right love, the right partner, they're gonna they're gonna come into my life. I'm gonna allow it to happen, but I'm gonna start to get into that frequency by becoming that person, feeling worthy, feeling like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna meet the person with all these characteristics that I've written down on, the spokes on the wheel. So again, the wrong vibration, the wrong frequency is when you're trying to force it and you're just kind of like, I've got to make this happen right now. And it's a scarcity type mentality, right?
I love
And
this
you want to come from
example.
more of abundant. Yeah.
And so how did that person react on that Q&A when you explain this?
Well, I haven't followed up yet. There was like a lot of questions, a lot of people on the Q&A, but um, I'm pretty sure that we helped give some form of emotional impact to that person and just, I hope they take it and utilize the information and be like, okay, well now I got to implement it. Right now I got to take this and see what works, like implement it. I mean, the worst thing that happens is nothing changes and you're just still doing what you're currently doing. But if you put yourself out there, if you implement it, um, it's funny
Yeah.
because another thing they shared was, I don't do dating apps. I don't go to networking events. I don't do this and this. And I had to stop the person. I said, well, hold on a second. You're already focused on all the reasons why you can't make it happen. Like forget all that. You got to start thinking about reasons of
Yeah.
why this can happen. And I said, it might be very uncomfortable, but that's where your growth is going to happen. So get out there, go and start meeting people, building new relationships. but don't just settle for any new relationships. I mean, you've got to hold yourself to this standard of, I'm not just settling for anybody, but put yourself out there, get uncomfortable, create
Yeah.
relationships, build relationships, get onto those, dating apps if they're uncomfortable and just meet people. It's not like you just have to settle for anybody. No, you're holding yourself to a higher standard, but you've got to take that action. You just can't sit, do nothing and just say, well, it's not going to work for me.
Yeah. No, it is so true. And it's like becoming that vibrational match for what you want, you know. But
Mhm.
yeah, no, it is an epidemic. You've been out of it too long. It's
I've been out of
definitely
it way too long. I didn't know it was a problem. Yeah. I thought this world was just filled with love and everybody was just walking around with peace and harmony.
No, dude, our divorce rate is like 67%. And it's like, what is happening to people? Like, what happened to like trying to work it out? But no, I think that is such great advice.
Yeah.
So let's
Why
go
do you
into
why do you think that is though? I'm just curious. Why do you think that is? It's such a high rate right now. Like what's going on?
social media, dating apps. I think that people have, it's almost like trying to find a great movie to watch on a Friday night on TV. You've got thousands of movies on Hulu, thousands on Paramount, thousands on Prime, thousands on Netflix. There's too many options. So now you have this thing as like, oh, people are always looking over their shoulder to see what's next, right? They're not staying to work it out. They're thinking, well, I can just find something better. And, they don't want to be vulnerable and have those conversations
Mm,
because they're afraid to really be seen. I think we have a huge problem with people being vulnerable. I think that a good goal
yeah.
for all of us actually is to be more vulnerable because that's how you deeply connect with people and build better friendships, better business relationships, better romantic relationships. I think and I speak for myself when I say this, the thing that I still have to work on is being vulnerable in relationships. I think when I start to
Hmm.
like somebody, I tend to get scared and I tend to default to like, oh gosh, I'm going to get hurt again. I don't want to do this. And so you
Right.
start to put that imaginary wall up and that it's something where you kind of have to break it down. So it goes into like the fears, but
Mm,
that's still something, because it's like, even though we're in this business, we're still human. We still have things
of
we work
course.
on. We still have things that we thought were resolved that can come up, but we at least have the tools and tricks to make it happen. So let's fast forward because
Yeah.
we're talking about like goals. I think a sneaking suspicion that a lot of people don't actually achieve their goals because they're afraid of changing and afraid of success. What do you think about that?
I think that's accurate. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think there's a lot of people out there that'll just, they might start doing something for a few days and it feels good, but when it starts to get a little uncomfortable, they'll pull the plug because of these ideas like, well, wait a minute, what if I fail again? What if it doesn't work? Or they're
that's
using
like me
past
in the
experience.
relationships.
Just like what he said, what if this doesn't work? And then the wall goes up, right?
Yep, yep.
And it's interesting because I mean the past is essential, okay? Like it's essential for where we are right now in our lives. Like it was absolutely necessary, no matter how bad, how good things are. It's absolutely necessary to bring us to where we are now and prepare us for the next greatest opportunity. But we should never let the past make the decisions for us or dictate what is or not possible. All it is just experience and what we can learn from that experience. So moving forward, it's like, okay, I got to stop with the excuses that maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe it's not going to work out again. Well, no, that's what happened in the past. You can keep learning from it. You can absolutely make it happen if you focus on what you want. So just shift your perception a bit, right? And you
Yeah,
get back to that ideal life, that ideal partner, that ideal goal. And it's like, well, this is what I want. And I am only going to start thinking of only the reasons of how I can make this happen. I'm only going to start putting myself into the frequency of solutions, ideas, and how this can make it happen. And then again, you get it emotionally attached to it, right? Well, what would that feel like? Live like it's already done right now. And you just start to feel this joy, this abundance, this excitement, this acceleration, like, oh my God, this is possible. Well, again, what you're doing is you're raising your level of vibration. You're putting yourself into the frequency of what you want.
yeah.
And then And then boom, you're going to get an idea. Well, go take action. Maybe the idea is go talk to this person, go reach out to so and so. And it might be very uncomfortable, but it's like, well, these are the ideas that I'm getting. I got to start acting on it. And it's so
Yeah.
easy to not do anything and just say, well, you know what, it didn't work for me in the past, or that person, the last time I reached out to that person, they kind of shut me down, whatever it is. I mean, these are all kinds of the distractions that are keeping us dormant and stuck in place.
Yeah, no, it is so true because yeah, when you think about goals, it seems like such a generic, like everybody has goals, write your goal, but there's so many other steps that go into it and all like the different
Hmm.
laws that go a part of it. But I love like getting clear because it goes into like what Bob always taught, which was the self-image, like becoming that person.
Yeah.
So becoming clear on that. So like for the relationship example, like become the person that always gets what they want, meets the great person, the relationships work out, and use your past as a positive, saying, this has prepared me for this right person because now I'm clear on what I don't want. And now I'm
Mm.
clear on the mistakes that I've made. And also have faith that everybody's on their own unique journey
Yeah.
and that you can step into and create the life you want to quickly. Because I like what you said about the 12 months at the beginning, because I think so many people, what's the most common interview question? Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Yeah.
That's like
It's
the
like, I don't
most
know.
common freaking. You're like, well, I don't even know if I'll be struck by a bus next week or if Jesus is going to
That's right.
return soon. Like, we don't know. So I think we
Yeah.
need to like shift that where it's like, where do you see yourself in 12 months? Because I think it's important. And business owners that are listening to this, I think it's important to make sure that you're the people you're hiring are wanting to grow. Whether they outgrow
Hmm.
you or not, that is not your concern. Because I think people ask the 5 year question, companies do, because they want to make sure you're going to stick around. But I don't think
E.
that's the right energy.
I like, personally for myself too, the 12-month exercise is great, but when I'm,
Oh,
you know, working on particular goals, I like 90-day sprints.
that's a
90-day
good, I
sprints
like that.
are, because then I can get focused for the next 90 days. Okay, I want to earn this amount. I want to invest this much. I want to create a more focused discipline. Like whatever it is, I'll write it out and
Yeah,
I'll go at it for 90 days.
I love that. I'm
And
just
then
take,
it just keeps me accountable. It just keeps me, moving into action rather than just sitting and thinking, oh, well, I got some time. It doesn't happen until like next year. I got time. No, it's 90 days. I gotta start doing this right now.
yeah. No, I think that is a really good exercise. And that way it allows you to break out your goals for the year. And that way, because I think
Yeah.
people might get stopped, especially around the new year when they write out a whole list of resolutions. I think I had like 10 different things that I wanted to accomplish in 2024. I've got to go back to
Yeah.
that list because I think I'm still missing about six of them. So,
Are
yeah,
you?
maybe, I don't know, four or five. I don't know.
I thought you would have crushed about 8 by now.
I still waiting for that big deal. It's coming. It's coming. But yeah, you got to just, but I like the 90 days because what do we have left in the year? We've got, let's just say we're in September. I mean, we're in August, mid-August, but let's just say it's September because it's past mid-August at this point. So we've
Sure.
got 30, 31, 61, 91, 122 days left in the year if it's September
122.
1st.
Right.
Yeah. So I
It's
want to
coming quick.
encourage every single person to make a 120-day goal list. And
I like
everything
that.
you have not accomplished that was on your list for 24, you now need to put those on a separate list. And this is your 120-day sprint.
Yeah.
And so you
I love
really
that.
need to watch, right? And I'm going to do this myself, and you should do it too. Write out after you listen to this podcast what exactly what your life looks like on New Year's Eve 2024 going into 2025. Because
Mm.
I like that. Like who does that person need to become? Who do you want to be on that day? So exactly what it is. Because
That's a
that
cool
like,
exercise.
right? Because I think it's like the urgency. Like why
It
wait?
is.
Because I feel like so many people are at the point now where like forget about the last 2 weeks of August. Everyone's in like vacation mode. They're like trying to finish up summer. Most people are traveling. Things are starting to come to a grinding halt a little bit. And then people get excited about after Labor Day. And then boom, what happens? We'll do it next year. We'll do it
Yeah.
next year. 2024 wasn't exactly what I expected, but 2025 will be my year. And it's
The
always
next year
in
is
the
always my year.
future. And then the 26th becomes your year, and then the 27th, and then do you know what I mean? So it's like, why not make if 2024 has not been the best year of your life, what do you need to do in 120 fucking days to make it
Yeah.
the best year of
Yeah.
your life? And I'm talking to myself at the
It-
same time. I think it's important that we recognize that we are still growing as well.
every day.
I feel
And
like my
you
ass is
said
now under
something.
the fire.
Well, I think you put everybody's ass under the fire with this accountability, which is good. It's such a great exercise. But one thing, like, there's always going to be excuses. There's always going to be some form of distraction about, oh, I got this going on. And like what you said, like the holidays or, people going on vacation. Well, the beautiful part of, goals or because remember, goals are who we get to become. Goals are for growth, right? It's not
Yeah.
necessarily the money or the house. It's for growth. It's who we get to become. So here's the beautiful part of it. On vacation, you can still become that person. You can still act like that person. But most people let their intellect get in the way or the excuses get in the way. They're like, well, no, I'm going to be on vacation, so I'm going to start next week or I'm going to start the week before. Well, no. Why wouldn't you want to be that person now? Why would you want to still continue to wait and put your better self off another week, another 2 weeks? You can just be that person now. So it doesn't matter
Yeah.
where you are, right? You could be on vacation, but you can start to be that person. And it does require discipline. Like I'm thinking, like, let's say one of your goals is to be in the best physical shape, that you can. And so you're on vacation. Or is that type of person, like the person that you're becoming, is that type of person gonna mow down at the buffet table every day? Probably not if your goal was to be in the best physical shape. So you need a little bit of discipline. You got to act like that person. Like, well, I'm not going to sit here and do the all you can eat again today and today and today. No, no, no.
Right.
You create some discipline, right? And you have a standard of who that person is. Yeah, I do movement in the morning. I go for a walk or I get on the elliptical, whatever it is, for 20 minutes in the morning. But you act like that person. This is who I am. And that's
Yeah.
how you start to make the change.
Yeah. No, I like it. It is true because I have this whole thing for me though. Pardon me, where I like, and I tell people this too. It's like when you're on vacation, especially if you're on like a 4 or 5 day vacation, it's not like a full week. Like, forget all your diets, have fun, eat what you want, do what you
Yeah.
want. Like, just let all that crap go because then you can pick it back up. So I have this thing where like I'm very disciplined during the week, but like when I travel, like I just enjoy my life. I enjoy my food. I enjoy my
Indulge.
beer. I enjoy, right. But that
Yeah.
works for me. Some people that doesn't work for because they can't get back on that disciplinary track. But
Right.
for me, like, yeah, it's being the person you want to become and having the
Yeah.
discipline. But yeah, I think that's a whole nother topic for a whole nother show of just the
It
power of
probably
discipline,
is.
you know?
Yeah. It's a great idea. And like what you were saying is when you go on vacation and indulge, you're not doing it every day, right? So this is
Right.
probably an example where, if somebody doesn't have the discipline, they're already in the habit of maybe indulging too much. It's part of their
Yeah,
daily lifestyle.
right.
And when they go on vacation, it's just magnified.
Right. Yeah. No, it's very true. It's very true. So yeah. So oh my gosh. So I feel like that's a good place to like start to wrap up. And I want to
Yeah.
kind of hit home again on the goal, what you haven't accomplished, 120-day sprint to the end to accomplish it, to make 2024 your best year yet.
Mhm.
And then also really getting clear on what it is you want. Like, who is that person that has already achieved those goals? That I think is so important to drive home because people always write goals, but they never adjust their self-image. And that is why the majority of people actually don't reach their C-level goals.
I wish you had a sound machine here because I would just drop the bomb sound.
Like, boom, mic drop. Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
All right, Cameron, you have got great videos on social media. So where can people find you to watch these? Because you got some great advice on there.
Yeah, so on Instagram, I'm at Cameron_F_Watt.
Okay.
You can also find me on TikTok. You'll just see it's the same sort of profile. And you can find me the same profile, Cameron Watt. It's both verified on Instagram and Facebook.
Okay.
And for anybody that just wants a free, great environment, I do have a free coaching group where I do share a lot of, great insights and ideas that are very applicable that anybody can start implementing and doing in their lives to, hopefully make some change.
Yeah, absolutely. So you guys definitely go follow him. He's very friendly, so you can reach out if you have questions. He will be happy to help you. But I love this. And we're definitely going to have you back because I think we need to do a whole episode on discipline, the power of
Oh,
discipline, because everyone thinks
can't
they
wait.
have it, but I don't think they do. I think
I
we
could
have,
really increase my discipline. I know that for sure.
yes, I think we all can. Every single one
Yeah.
of us, no matter where we're at in life, there's some area that we don't have enough discipline in, and it's like, how do we do that? So we will follow up, and we'll have another episode just on that. So thank you so much for coming on next to
Yeah.
Madison and sharing with us your wisdom. You've got such great insight. I love working with you. You're an amazing coach. So keep up the
I
great
appreciate
energy,
you.
and of course, I appreciate
It
you.
was, yeah, it was so much fun being next to Madison. See what I did
Absolutely.
there?
Even though we used to, before COVID, people used to be physically next to me and I like to touch them and it was all fun, kind of creepy, but no, I'm just kidding. And then COVID, we moved to Zoom, which is great because people used to have to fly to New York City in order to
Right.
come on the show, which was kind of cool at the same time. But now
Yeah,
we can reach so many more people. So it's great. But hopefully we'll be back in studio soon and then you'll have to come to New York. But
that'll be
um,
fun.
yeah, absolutely. But thank you. And thank you to everybody who's listening, wherever you may be. We will see you next time to find out who's next.
Hey, your host here, Madison Malloy. Please make sure to subscribe to the show on all podcast platforms and please rate and review us on iTunes and Spotify. Also, if you have any questions or comments, you can email us at contact@nexttomadison.com. I thank you again for listening. Bye.